We are excited that you are able to join us for today's program, Play It to Win, Corporate Strategies for Young Professionals in Corporate America. This webinar is brought to you by the Engineering Alumni Network in partnership with the Alumni Association's inaugural Career Week, a week-long virtual series to help alumni like you conquer, steer, and advance your career. We have a lot of information to cover today, but we'll take questions at a couple of intervals throughout the program and at the end. Please feel free to submit any questions using the chat box at the bottom of the Zoom panel or raise your Zoom hand and I'll call upon you when Nefretiti will take questions. This webinar will be recorded. By participating, you acknowledge and consent to your image, likeness, or voice being recorded. Now about our presenter. Nefretiti Nassar is the best-selling author of Play It to Win, Strategies for Millennials Starting in Corporate America, having ranked #1 on Amazon's new releases for 4 consecutive weeks. The Career Development Counseling book guides young professionals to identify and navigate the unwritten rules of the workplace. Nefretiti has also published many engineering research papers in addition to achieving a number of honors. For example, receiving the Hiram Whittle Legacy Award from the University of Maryland, and she was selected as a U.S. Presidential Management Fellows Program finalist. Nefretiti is a senior technical advisor at Axiologic Solutions, where she provides Axiologic Solutions, where she provides technical expertise, recommendations, and strategic direction to organizational leadership. Nefretiti serves on the Board of Governors at the University of Maryland Alumni Association. She holds a BS in Electrical Engineering and an MS in Systems Engineering, both from the University of Maryland College Park. She's an avid international traveler and mentors students and young professionals. Please welcome Nefretiti Nassar.
Thank you, Heather, for that great introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nefretiti, and welcome to the Play It to Win session. Today, I'm going to teach a few of the strategies from my best-selling book, Play It to Win. My intent is for these strategies to serve as a resource to aid you in your career journey as you navigate the workplace. These strategies that I'm going to share with you today are strategies that I've exercised in my personal career that have produced advancement in the workplace as well as career acceleration. I have also taught these strategies to students and young professionals to help them successfully navigate the workplace. So without further ado, let's get started. Play It to Win is comprised of 4 parts. And at the end of this presentation, you will learn fundamental strategies to help you establish a basis for your career, strategies to help you establish strategic relationships in the workplace, strategies to help you strategically plan your career, and strategies for leadership development. Before we advance to these strategies, I want to let you know that at the end of each of these parts, I'm going to open the floor for questions. And during that time, our lovely moderator, Mrs. Heather Medina, will moderate the questions from the audience. This will be your opportunity to raise questions on any of the strategies that I discussed in that part. And at the conclusion of the presentation, we'll have a Q&A for any additional questions. Part 1 to successfully navigating the workplace is fundamental strategies. You need to establish a foundation that you can build your career upon. That foundation, at a minimum, should consist of your performance, image, and exposure. Now, many of you likely understand that your image correlates to how you present yourself in a professional life. So, for the upcoming slides, I'm going to focus on teaching strategies for performance and exposure. A key fundamental strategy is to establish your performance. Without a strong and solid performance, you will find it increasingly difficult to develop the credibility that you'll need to excel in the workplace. You see, credibility earned in the workplace is largely built upon your ability to solve problems and deliver solutions on time, and both are tied to your performance. With that said, here are strategies to build your credibility through the workplace. When given a task or assignment to perform, ensure you have the following. Number one, a clear understanding of the problem that you are being asked to solve. The key here is to ask questions for clarification. You want to ensure that you clearly understand the scope of the problem and the boundaries and constraints associated with the problem space. Why? Because when you fully understand what you are being asked to do, you increase the probability of being able to solve the problem the first time, which positively influences your performance and builds your credibility. For example, I personally tend to ask clarifying questions when given a task because I want to fully comprehend what the expectation is so I can hit the ground running and give you exactly what you need the first time. Number two, before you begin solving a problem assigned to you, you must know what is expected as a deliverable. Ask your task lead, what type of format are you looking for? You can also suggest formats for delivering the solution. This is playing it to win because you're influencing your deliverable into a format that you are already knowledgeable or skilled at, thus increasing your ability to perform at an optimal level. For example, early in my career, I was not a strong writer. However, I was really good at putting together PowerPoint slides and selecting images that attractively captured the content on the slide. So every time I was given a task, I always tried to influence the deliverable into a PowerPoint deck when applicable, because I knew that was my strength, and out of my strength, I could perform at a high level. Number three, once you fully understand the task or problem, you need to ask when that assignment is due. Do not make assumptions or wait for your task lead to say, I want it now, or where's that document I asked you to work on? It's critical that your task lead and you concur on a deadline, and your ability to deliver a solution within the given time constraint will demonstrate your performance level and help you build your credibility with that person. Number four, asking to see an example of previous or similar deliverables can contribute to your performance level. Therefore, examples on how the business currently delivers solutions will help you tailor your problem-solving approach and increase your awareness of your needed level of performance. For example, last month at work, my new customer asked me to draft a technical memo on a topic that could lead to a new enterprise opportunity. One of the first questions that I asked was if he could provide me with previous examples. By playing it to win, I wanted to be strategic and get a better understanding of the picture he has in mind for what he's expecting as my deliverable. This is important because it will increase my performance ability to deliver exactly what he wants by the due date while creating an opportunity to exceed his expectations. In return, it builds my credibility with this customer, as well as a desire for the customer to work more with me, and it further contributes to strengthening my professional relationship with him. Another key fundamental strategy is to maximize your exposure within your organization. Exposure is key when starting and advancing in the workplace. As a matter of fact, exposure is a necessity. Why? Because if no one knows who you are, then your performance is largely irrelevant. With that said, here are strategies to grow your visibility within your organization. Number one, attend a lunch and learn. Lunch and learns are great settings to meet people within your organization. I recommend using them as an opportunity to introduce yourself and express who you are, what you're currently working on, and your interests. As many of us are working remotely due to COVID, I encourage you to attend virtual meetings during the lunch hour when available, and use the chat box as an opportunity to introduce yourself and to contribute to the conversation in a meaningful way. Number 2, volunteering to help support or organize critical activities for your organization is a direct way to grow your visibility with leadership, management, and technical experts. This is because many organizational initiatives are typically established by leadership, which can translate into high visibility and create an opportunity for you to maximize your exposure with key people. For example, previously in my career, I volunteered to support a business development activity with my director. And this inherently created an opportunity for me to shadow him and to participate in daily calls and virtual meetings with his engineering managers. As a byproduct, it maximized my exposure, and all the managers in my organization, including my director, were collectively experiencing Nefretiti's performance and her ability to get things done. A couple months after that, I advanced from a lead engineering role to an engineering manager. However, that elevation would not have happened had I not volunteered to be of service in supporting a critical activity for my organization. As you maximize your exposure within your organization, you also want to begin increasing your exposure across your company. Here are strategies to grow your visibility across your company. Number 1, joining a functional community within your company is a direct way to help you identify or confirm your area of interest and grow your subject matter expertise. This community will help you amplify your exposure in this area of interest and increase your awareness of opportunities that you can support across your company. For example, when I started at my second company, I was a new hire and I didn't have a network. So I immediately joined a functional community for systems engineers. And as a result of attending their meetings, I started building my network, maximizing my exposure, and most importantly, I learned about available and upcoming opportunities across the company for systems engineers, and I supported them. As we work remotely due to COVID, I encourage you to attend virtual meetings for your respective functional community. You should also consider reaching out to 1 or 2 members via email or chat after the meeting to introduce yourself and establish a basis for a relationship. This will help maximize your exposure as we continue to navigate a virtual work environment. Number 2, joining an ERG, an employee resource group, or an affinity group is a great way to maximize your exposure. These groups are generally not constrained by profession or area of expertise. Therefore, you can build an interdisciplinary network. An example of an ERG can be an inclusive employee-led group for women. I encourage you to RSVP to attend virtual meetings hosted by an ERG and contribute to the conversation through the chat box. In the chat box, beyond prompting a question, you should consider adding value to the conversation as it relates to the topic, and when appropriate, consider sharing a link to a helpful resource. This will help position you as a valuable asset. To further maximize your exposure as we work remotely, I also encourage you to consider leading a presentation for the meeting or volunteering to serve as a moderator for the meeting. Now, before we transition into part 2, are there any questions on fundamental strategies?
As a reminder, you can put your questions in the chat or raise your hand. I think you can keep going.
All right. Thank you, Heather. So part 2 to successfully navigating the workplace is strategic relationships. If you're going to navigate many of the unwritten rules in the workplace, you need key relationships. So for the upcoming slides, I'm going to focus on teaching strategies to help you establish those relationships. You need a team of advocates who can help you navigate and advance within your workplace. This team should consist of, at a minimum, 4 core individuals. 1, a sponsor, 2, a mentor, 3, a mentee, and 4, a lateral. Now, let me explain these individuals that I recommend for assembling your team. Number 1, your sponsor is someone in a business leadership role who can create high visibility opportunities for you to demonstrate your performance at elevated levels within your company. I personally gained my sponsors at both my first and second company through information sessions after they individually witnessed my performance and level of engagement within the company. Now, in the Play to Win book, I discuss in great detail how to approach information sessions, how to obtain an information session with senior leadership and executive management, what to discuss during those meetings, and how to secure sponsors at the top of your company's hierarchy. Number 2, your mentor is someone generally in a management role who can coach you on the culture of your company. Every company has a culture, and you should leverage your mentor to teach you the cultural environment of your workplace. Here's what I do. I observe the workplace and pay attention to individuals who express an interest in my career growth. Then I schedule a 30-minute or a 1-hour meeting with them to discuss ways I can navigate a current obstacle I'm facing in the workplace through their understanding of the company's culture. Number 3, your mentee in the workplace is an individual to whom you choose to pay it forward. Also, it's advantageous to have a mentee in the event that you want to transition to a new opportunity, and your mentee whom you've coached can be a recommendation of someone who can backfill you. A good way to find a mentee is by paying attention to individuals who express interest in what you're doing or how you did something. Mentees can be found within your organization, on your program that you support, or the ERG that you're a part of. Lastly, you want to have a lateral advocate on your team. This is a colleague on your program or project team who can endorse your ideas when you present them during meetings or conference calls. Your laterals can serve as a strategic partner for day-to-day work activities. Now, I recommend using discernment when selecting your total team because these are the individuals that you're going to partner with to help you advance in the workplace and navigate obstacles. If you currently do not have a team built to help you navigate and advance within your workplace, I encourage you to assemble one. If you already have a team built within your workplace, I encourage you to build a team for your respective industry, using the same strategic approach for building your internal workplace team. And if needed, create a Microsoft spreadsheet to manage your relationships. Now, before we transition into part 3, are there any questions on strategic relationships?
Nefretiti, we received one in the chat, and it crosses strategic relationships, and it's from the first section. How do you suggest increasing visibility without showing up as someone who does all the back-end tasks? Any advice or feedback on how to avoid such scenarios?
Let me repeat the question so I understand. Is it how to maximize your exposure without doing all the back-end work?
I think it's a question of, the way I am reading it is, How do you position yourself as someone who pitches in without looking like you're the person who plans the parties or fetches the coffee?
Oh, great idea. So one of the things that you want to do is you want to align yourself to critical activities within your organization. And we discussed that a little bit on the very beginning of fundamental strategies. So what you want to do is find those key critical activities or initiatives that's currently going on in your organization. And those are normally established by your senior management, your senior leaders in that organization. And what you want to do is you want to schedule a meeting with them, probably 30 minutes or an hour, and to discuss, hey, I heard you talk about this initiative or this critical activity during our all hands meeting or during our department meeting or during our organizational staff meeting. And I would like to find ways where I can contribute and bring forth value. Now, that is a great way in order for you to position yourself as someone who's there to serve, and also a way to get you exposure with individuals in key positions. And as a byproduct of that, they will also begin to increase their awareness of your performance level. And sometimes that translates into new opportunities for mentorship. Are there any more questions?
That's what I have for now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Heather. So part 3 to successfully navigating the workplace is strategic planning. You need to have a vision and a plan for what you want to possess in your career. You cannot simply stumble upon success. Success is planned. A key for strategic planning is to create a development plan. A development plan is a guided strategy that helps you reach your intended goal. It literally maps out the steps to lead you towards success. With that said, here are strategies for your development plan. Number 1, set a goal for where you want to be in your career. I recommend that you take some time, whether it's at the end of the University of Maryland's Career Week or a time next week, and begin to think about what are your short-term goals? What are your long-term goals? What does success look like for you? As you ponder over those questions, I challenge you to set a 5-year goal for yourself. Where do you want to be by 2026? What type of skills do you want to have? What experiences do you want to have? Are there any certifications or clearances you want to possess? And from that, establish benchmarks that will help you accomplish your goal. Number 2, after you've completed this exercise and you drafted it onto a Microsoft Word document, share your drafted development plan with your management for him or her to review and endorse it. This is particularly a great time to create a development plan as we are at the very beginning of a new year. So once your manager has endorsed your development plan, it's now time to identify opportunities to help you reach your goals for success. With that said, here are strategies for identifying opportunities. Number 1, opportunities that require you to apply your knowledge to new and different applications are great prospects to mature your skills and begin to position you as an expert. For example, I have my master's degree in systems engineering, and when I started at my first company after graduation, I sought out opportunities to apply my domain knowledge in systems engineering to solving problems for different military platforms, from Air Force, Navy to Army. And in doing so, I matured my systems engineering skills and started to become recognized as a subject matter expert, accomplishing a benchmark within my development plan. Number 2, opportunities that expand your breadth of knowledge as you continue to build depth within your subject area will position you for continual progressive success. For example, when I was maturing my skills in systems engineering and functioning as an engineering manager, I sought out client relationship development opportunities to help me reach more benchmarks within my development plan. And as I gained a breadth of knowledge and experience in client relationship development, it created opportunities for me to perform in a new capacity that transitioned me from an engineering manager to a program manager, accomplishing yet another benchmark within my development plan. Before we transition into part 4, are there any questions on strategic planning? Continue? Okay. Part 4, to successfully navigating the workplace, is strategic development. Strategic development can include character development, leadership development, developing effective communication skills, and so much more. For the remaining slides, I'm going to focus on strategies for developing effective communication skills and strategies for leadership development. Key for strategic development is to develop effective communication skills. It is absolutely necessary that you develop the skills needed to communicate your thoughts, ideas, and solutions in both verbal and written forms. Why? Because it helps you improve your performance and it helps you lead effectively. And as a result, you will position yourself to positively influence and guide others while increasing your value in the workplace. With that said, here are strategies to develop your communication skills. Number 1, seek training opportunities to help develop your verbal and written communication skills. There exist numerous training courses online and countless books that can help you become an effective communicator. I recommend that you first explore what your company offers and then check out platforms such as Coursera, Udemy, or YouTube. As many of us are working from home, this is a great time to take advantage of training opportunities. Number 2, practice and improve your verbal communication skills by giving presentations. The best way to truly improve your verbal communication skills is by getting in front of people and talking. You may be nervous, you may even think people will judge you, but those are human feelings that many people experience when you're in the process of becoming a better version of yourself. Number 3, practice and develop your written communication skills by writing white papers, technical articles, and publications. Similar to improving your verbal communication skills, you develop your written skills through practice. I recommend using emails as an opportunity to develop your written skills, simply because that's something that you do daily. And I also recommend partnering with a colleague who writes well to compose a document such as a white paper, as this will help you develop your written skills in a practical way. A final key for strategic development is leadership development. If you're interested in navigating the workplace while increasing your value, then you need to develop leadership skills. Leadership skills can consist of your ability to lead yourself, your ability to lead others, your ability to influence others, and your ability to lead and influence a customer. Here are strategies to develop your leadership skills. Number 1, participation in a leadership development program within your company is a great way to develop your leadership skills. Leadership development programs typically help you explore leadership styles and help you evaluate and build your current leadership skills through a variety of exercises. If this is something that's of interest to you, I recommend reaching out to the team that you built to help you win in the workplace and have a conversation with them about available leadership programs and ask them to advocate for your participation in that program. At my first company, one of my sponsors advocated for my participation in a prestigious leadership program internal to the company. I was selected for the program. I traveled across the country to various site locations, learning how to establish business relationships as well as cross-functional and cross-organizational relationships. I participated in a variety of leadership development workshops that included executive management. And at the end of that program, I was recognized as a rising leader within the company. Then I advanced into leadership roles. My completion of the leadership development program, as well as who I emerged as, was a pivotal trigger to my career acceleration. Number 2, serving in a leadership role for a volunteer organization, internal or external to your company, is a wonderful way to develop and grow your leadership skills as a young professional. I suggest seeking out volunteer leadership roles within your company through an employee resource group or leadership roles external to the company within your community, church, or alumni association. I personally started mentoring students at the University of Maryland when I graduated. I was helping students with their resumes, helping students secure summer internships, teaching students strategies on how to play it to win during their internships, helping students negotiate salary offers, and then teaching students how to play it to win once they graduated from Maryland, starting in the workplace as a full-time employee. My volunteerism on campus, through my volunteerism on campus, my leadership skills and my passion for Maryland was recognized. In 2016, I was voted onto the board of directors for the Engineering Alumni Network, where I currently lead the Women's Mentoring Initiative. And in 2019, I was appointed to the Board of Governors for the Alumni Association, where I currently serve on the scholarship committee. I share this particular story to illustrate that you can also develop your leadership skills external to your company through volunteer organizations such as your alumni association. This concludes the presentation. Thank you for taking time out of your day to participate in this session. Today, you learned just a few of the play it to win strategies to help you successfully navigate the workplace, from fundamental strategies to strategic relationships, strategic planning, and strategic development. If you want to continue to learn more about how you can play it to win, connect with me on LinkedIn at Nefretiti Nassar, send me an email at info@nefretitinassar.com, or visit me at nefretitinassar.com. Now, with the remaining time, I would like to open the floor for Q&A. Are there any questions?
Someone is asking about where this recording will be posted, and all attendees will receive a link to the recording, I think by the end of the week from the Alumni Association. Question. In addition to leadership skills, what about executive presence?
That's a great question. So executive presence is something that you build and something that you cultivate. And it's something that an individual can have independent of their position in the company's hierarchy. So some recommendations for executive presence with one is your presentation in a meeting. How do you sit when you enter? Well, let's start like this. When you enter a room, where do you sit? I always tell students and young professionals to never sit along the wall. Always take a seat at the table. Just make sure that you're not sitting in the leader's table and the leader's seat, okay? That's number one. Number two is, how do you sit when you're in that seat? Do you have good posture? Is your back up straight? Where's your hands? Is it coupled like this? Do you have a pen? Are you writing? What is your position to exude confidence? Because when you have good posture and you're sitting, situating yourself accordingly, when you speak, your voice will project and it will increase the confidence in your voice, okay? Also, another thing to do is make sure that you always arrive to the meeting prepared and have 1 to 3 points in how you can contribute to the conversation, because your ability to add valuable content to the conversation will increase your executive presence. Number 3, I would say, how do you respond when your peers contribute their thoughts and ideas? Are you listening? What do you say when they contribute a thought or opinion that's in counter to your thought or opinion? Are you being effective in your listening to say, oh, I understand what you said? Sometimes maybe it helps to repeat what they said and then be able to consider what they said and say, hey, I see how that point is valid. I would also like to contribute a different perspective. Recognizing how you manage others' thoughts and ideas will reflect and help build your personal executive presence. And the last point that I would add to that also is to begin to identify sponsors whom you think exude a level of executive presence that you admire. And when you're in meetings with them or when you have an information session, just observe them. Observe how they just sit in the room, observe how they contribute their thoughts and ideas, observe how they respond to others, and that'll give you more understanding or more insight into how you as an individual can build your executive presence.
Thank you. We have a couple more questions. What are your thoughts on staying with one company versus moving between companies?
Oh, wow. So, so for my personal career, I'm currently on my 3rd company. So I would say that one depends on what is the goal for your career. For me, my personal perspective is that I want to diversify my skill set as much as possible, not only diversifying it through the applications within an individual company, I also want to diversify my skill set across industries. So when I graduated from Maryland, I started at my first company I started at was a large DoD company, contractor company. The second company after that was a Fortune 500 consulting company. And now I'm at a small company in DC. Those are 3 different experiences, 3 different companies that creates an opportunity to be able to diversify my skill set beyond application and now across industries, such that once I leave where I'm currently at, if I decide to leave, I have exploded my value as a technical engineer.
Great. I have one more. How do you develop confidence in your role and strategic feedback when you do not have supportive management or lack of mentorship?
Okay, I hear like 3 different questions and not one. Let's do it one by one. So the first part was,
how do you develop confidence in your role?
Okay, how do you develop confidence in your role? So the first thing you want to do is, 1, you want to understand what is your role? What is your position? What is the description of your position? Once you have an understanding of what the description is of your position, you want to make sure, and that can be done by having a conversation with your manager to get an understanding of what their expectation is of you. Once you have an understanding of what the expectation is of you, now you have points of things that you can work on and what you can strive towards so you can perform. Now, the second part of the question
was along the lines of what do you do when you don't have supportive management or a mentor in your organization?
Okay, so if you do not have a supportive, let's start with management first. Mm-hmm. So If you do not have supportive management, that is why you have to establish and build your team. And your team are going to be the individuals that's going to help you navigate those obstacles between your first line manager. So when you build a team properly, and I discussed it a little bit, and I discuss it in great detail in the book, when you build a team strategically, these are individuals in key positions who also have a strong understanding of the culture of your company, where they can move you into new positions within your company or within your organization without that having a negative impact on you as an employee. So oftentimes when you have an issue, an obstacle with your first line management, you should, I recommend, reach back to your team and share to your level of comfort what's going on in your situation. And those key people will be able to transition you effortlessly into a new role where you can feel comfortable at work and where you can continue to perform. Now, the second part is, what do you do if you don't have a mentor? So the key part about having a mentor, and I talked about that early on in the presentation, is that you want to be able to observe in the workplace people who attract towards you, who are attracted to your career growth, who are attracted to your performance. Those are key ways to identify a mentor. Oftentimes I see that young professionals just show up in the workplace and just say, oh, I want that person to be my mentor, or they just go to that person and ask them to be the mentor. And that's not a good approach. Why? Because everyone in the workplace is not an advocate for you. You have to find someone who's truly going to be an advocate for you. So when you do have those issues with your first line management, because they're invested into your career growth, they will be able to help you navigate obstacles seen and unseen in a seamless way. So find a mentor who is someone who is attracted to your career growth. How do you do this? If you're supporting a program or a project, look to see who is the person who says, hey, come over here. I wanna explain this to you. Or, hey, I saw you had these questions during the meeting. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of what happened here and why we have this problem. Look for key individuals for that, because that's a good indication that they're willing to invest in your personal growth.
Okay, a couple more. When asking for feedback on your development or an annual review on your development plan, how would you suggest someone ask for specific examples to help them grow when the manager isn't freely offering suggestions?
Great question. So this is what you do, and I've done this early in my career. It always goes back to your team. Your team is literally going to be your Avengers. They are going to literally help you navigate everything seen and unseen. So when you're in your performance review, or when you're having some type of review with your manager and they're not contributing the feedback that you expected, or you're asking all these great questions you Googled online and they're just not giving you the responses that you expected, what you have to say in that moment is just, thank you for your feedback. And then after that, you want to schedule a meeting with the individuals on your team. And when you talk to those individuals in that meeting, you bring your development plan to them. And you say, hey, this is the next milestone on my development plan that I'm looking to accomplish. Are there any available opportunities that you know of within your organization or within other areas of the company that you could endorse me to support that program or to support that initiative or to support that effort? And then, since these are individuals that you have identified for helping you navigate the workplace, they are the individuals who's invested in you. So they're going to say, sure, give me some time. Let me look around and see what I can find, and I'll follow up with you. Give them about a week to 2 weeks for them to follow up with you and to present to you that opportunity. Now, granted, If you have done your due diligence to build a team of individuals who are truly for you, they are going to seamlessly present that opportunity to you by way of your management because they understand the cultural environment. So they know that, hey, I don't want to bring a negative impact onto Nefretiti. So what I'm going to do is they're gonna play through the politics to make sure that they contact your management in such a way that that opportunity seamlessly get to you, and now you have a platform to perform on something that you can do well and help you advance in your development plan.
Great. Couple more. How do you know if you've reached great if you've reached a great position or if you can do better?
If you reached a good position, it's all about your development plan. So if you have a development plan, and let's say you're hitting all the milestones and all the benchmarks in your development plan, and you get to a point and you say, hey, I think I like it here. I like this role. I like this position. I feel satisfied. I feel like I'm growing in my skills, in my technical skills. I'm growing maybe as a manager. I'm growing as a leader. Then it's okay to say, I'm okay here. For this season, I'm okay. Sometimes as you're striving in your development plan and you reach a benchmark and then your personal life has all these things going on. Perhaps you're a new mom, perhaps you're helping your parents, perhaps you're being more active in the community. It's okay to say, I'm gonna hover at this place in my career, at this benchmark, because I'm going to contribute more of my time for my personal life. And then after that season, it's okay to say, all right, I'm now gonna seek new opportunities to advance to the next benchmark of my career.
Great. Okay, related. How do you respectfully tell a hiring manager that you're still viewing other job offers? Is there a time frame for accepting or denying a job offer?
Awesome question. And the question actually answers it themselves. You pretty much say, thank you so much for this opportunity. At this moment, either it's one or two things, okay? So it depends on what is your goal. Are you currently in a position and you're looking for a new job? Number one. Or two, are you currently in a position you're looking for a new job, or you're trying to assess other job opportunities for the best fit for you? So the first thing that you do, let's say that you have multiple job offers and the recruiter approaches you, you'll say, well, thank you so much for the opportunity to interview for this role. I've learned so much about the organization. I learned so much more about the company that I didn't before. At this time, is it possible to allocate me additional time to think more about this opportunity? Is it how? And then you'll prompt the question of, well, you have to know what's that date that you need. Do you need 2 more weeks? Do you need 4 more weeks? What does that look like? And then propose that time to them. That way it gives you more time to continue to interview with other companies in order to get most likely the salary offer that you're truly looking for. Now, if it's an opportunity and you interview and you realize, oh, I don't really like this, I don't want to take on this position after all, then in that case, you'll still say, thank you so much for this opportunity. I enjoy learning more about the company. I enjoy getting to know you. Make sure that you establish that relationship on LinkedIn and just make them aware that, hey, you know, something arise, figure out what that thing is that arise, or maybe you can say, hey, things have shifted where I'm currently at in my job, or maybe things have shifted in your personal life and you've decided to take a pause right now and then resume the interview process at a later time. And I love to stay connected with you via email, via LinkedIn or email.
Another one, how do you navigate around any naysayers that may say your dreams are too big because you lack experience?
Oh, I love that question. Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, that is something that I've heard so early on in my career. Bottom line up front, my advice to you is that the sky is the limit. You want to believe in yourself and you want to believe that anything is possible for you. Do not allow anyone to stunt your growth. Do not allow anyone to tell you what is or what isn't possible for you. If you have a dream, if you have a goal, if you have an ambition, you chase after that and you become the best version of yourself along that process.
I like it. One more, kind of a follow-up to the question before that. In the situation of telling a recruiter that you need more time to decide on an offer, how do you address what else do you need to help make a decision?
Well, the thing is, you have to realize, so normally, so if you're not to get in his or her business, but more time is normally because what they offer you as a salary package is not sufficient to what you intended. Typically, that's what the case is. So you have to figure out before, I always recommend before going to salary negotiations, understanding what is it that you want. Do you know what the salary is, the dollar sign of what you want? Do you know what you want from PTO? Do you know what you want for a signing bonus? Do you know what you want for other benefits that's offered through that company? You have to figure out what that is before you enter negotiation. Then once you engage in negotiation with that recruiter or that hiring manager, and then they present to you something that doesn't reach what your expectation is, you have a conversation with them. And the first thing you say is, let's say it's salary. You say, hey, is the salary open to negotiation? If it's the PTO, you say, is the PTO open to negotiations? If it's the starting bonus, you say, is the starting bonus open to negotiations? And then you allow them to give you the feedback, whether it is or whether it's not. If it is, then you go into conversation with them or what it is that you're looking for. Now, let's say that they say, no, the salary is not negotiable. Now, the next thing that you do is you negotiate on the other variables a part of your total compensation package. Oftentimes, students and young professionals only look at the salary. The salary, it's only one attribute of your total compensation package. You can, yes, you can negotiate your PTO days. You can negotiate your starting bonus. You can negotiate many of the benefits within the benefits that are offered to you through your company's benefits package. I hope that helps. I know that was a little bit more than what you guys expected, but hopefully it's valuable.
I would just like to virtually clap for that answer. That is the last of the questions that I have in the DMs. Wait, one more. Oh, no, that is just a comment. Does anybody have any last? We have just a few, 1 minute left. Any quick little, well, with that, thank you, Nefretiti. We are so thrilled to have you share your professional advice with us here today. And thank you for plugging the University of Maryland Alumni Associations. There are more than 60 groups and boards that anyone here could get involved in under the umbrella of the Alumni Association. So certainly let us know if that's some place that you'd like to develop your professional and leadership skills. A recording of this webinar will be sent to the email address that you used to register for today. And thank you for joining us for Career Week. And if anybody wants to join me in virtually clapping for Nefretiti's presentation, I welcome the reactions.
Thank you so much, Heather, for moderating. And thank you everyone for taking time out of your afternoon on a Tuesday to join this session.
Thank you, and go Terps.